Hello. Hello. All right. Today, I wanted to talk about some thoughts I've been having. And I'm making a YouTube video because it's fun. Well, I guess it's a habit that I wanted to start doing, getting consistent with. So yeah, the things I wanted to talk about were mainly our concept of being an individual self and I guess moral dilemmas slash can we do anything slash free will. So yeah, this kind of sparked when I was listening to a podcast and this guy was saying, you know, what can we do as individuals to, I guess the podcast was about civilization, how it comes to be, and how we can these Goliaths of that we call civilization Goliath. Basically, these things. How do we? What can we do from these things becoming totalitarian, mass surveillance states? How can we stop the destruction of the world through capitalism and how can we make a better world basically and not have these civilizational Goliaths destroy the world and self-terminate because they're kind of on a path of self-termination. And he was saying, okay, what can the individual do? Stop being a dick. And how do you stop being a dick? You don't work for these corporations that are destroying the world. And so that got me thinking, like, is that really a solution to this problem? And yeah, what does that even solve? And do we even have a choice in this? Because this got me thinking basically, okay, one, what does it solve? If one person quits, that doesn't solve anything because someone will just take their place. And he was like, oh, that argument isn't a good argument, but it's presumably what will happen unless you have mass change. One person doing one thing isn't going to create systematic change. I mean, what we really need here is systemic change because, these corporations, even the corporations are symptoms of a system. And that basically got me thinking about, even if that was the answer, can someone just up and quit their job? Like, what reasons do we have for staying in our jobs, for spending, I don't know, X amount of hours a day doing these jobs that might not be, in humanity's best interests, even in the planet's best, life on the planet's best interest? Why do we keep doing these things? And that got me thinking about how we are kind of trained in the system. I want to talk about how I was listening to Alan Watts and how that kind of plays into this. But like, I went to public school in the United States, and from preschool to the end of high school, you're trained to go eat breakfast, go to school, wake up, go to school, stay at school for 8 hours learning about stuff you don't really care about. You don't understand how it's really useful to you, but you just do it because that's what everyone else is doing. And that's a key thing. Everyone else is also doing this. So yeah, you're trained to go to school 8 hours a day, then you play sports, then you do your homework, then you eat dinner or whatever, you go to sleep. And yeah, we're trained to do that for, from age 4 till age 18. And those are pretty important years in terms of, how your brain's developing and you're learning. And so I think that's a huge part of the equation. It's like we are trained to have a specific routine, and we're also, during those years, we're given information about the worldview of how, I don't know, how the US government sees the world or how the education system sees the world. We're not really encouraged to think for ourselves. We're just fed information. So that's another interesting thing is, right from the get-go, there's a teacher-student relationship that's very this person knows more, which and like, this person knows everything, and this person's a teacher. They're on a pedestal, teacher-student relationship. So that all these things play into like how we see the world and what's normal to us. And I guess I'll get into this again, but I was also I was listening to Alan Watts, and he was, saying how you can't describe the organism without describing its environment. And its environment is, our environment is the people around us, the society around us, everything around us. And what is normal to us is what we've experienced. I guess how this plays in is like we're not separate entities like we're taught, like separate atoms going through schooling, going through all these things, going through society, getting jobs, all that. It's not us and that. They go together. It's like, and so basically, how can we make a choice against that? It's not so easy to just go against that training for 20 years, let's say, that constant indoctrination into this system. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm just saying that's the organism-environment is real, and we're not just individuals with complete free will to just go against everything we've learned. Everything we've learned and been taught is part of us. And so, yeah, that makes this whole thing tricky. Because, when I think about, okay, these corporations, they're not incentivized to necessarily do good in the world. They're incentivized to create as much money as possible, to make as much money as possible. And it's the system which rewards that. And humanity made the system, I guess. Where was I going with this? I guess what I was trying to say is that it's not that easy to just say, oh, do this thing, and that is what you can do. It's this whole thing is all intertwined, basically. And yeah, that's why I was thinking about, like, why am I in this routine? Why do I spend 8 hours a day doing this job? Which I don't even mind. Like, it's sometimes, it has its ups and downs, and it's like, I can get in the zone and do it. When I logically think about it, I'm like, is this the thing I want to be doing with my life? And that's just such a funny thought, because it's like, your life is right now. But at the same time, time has some reality in a way, because you do spend a lot of your nows doing this job, per se, to get money. I guess it's not just to get money is another thing. Like, I sometimes think about it. It's like, are you doing this job just to get money? I think some people do jobs just for the money. But I guess in the case of my job, I do feel like I get to use some of my, freedom, or like I get to use creativity and such to like solve problems. I get to like develop skills and get credit for your work and all that. But I guess at the end of the day, it's like, what do you ultimately want to do? It's not a straightforward just like do this thing. It's really like life is really it works in mysterious ways, I guess. I'm kind of just rambling, I guess, but it's, I don't know, just some thoughts I've been having. Yeah, maybe need to work on tying them together a bit more, but yeah, to be continued, I guess. Thanks for listening anyway. Hope it got you thinking too on like, what you spend your time doing, and the training you've gotten in your past, and yeah, how that all plays into how you live your daily life. And because our conception of individuals is kind of flawed, because we don't exist as individuals. No one exists as just an individual. Yes, there is like a conscious experience here that is probably unique from yours, but it's like at the same time, we are affected by a multitude of infinite amounts of different factors and different experiences, and we're affected by all these things, and our brain subconsciously is processing all those. So to say, oh, I can consciously make this do this thing, that's not, you can't just consciously make a choice separate from your subconscious. I mean, there's a conscious experience, a conscious choice, but then there's the subconscious, there's emotions, there's intuition, and there's all these different elements playing, and there's this environment and all the things going on around us. And so yeah, just things are very nuanced and complex and interconnected, basically. So it's not so simple to quote unquote change the world and quote unquote decide what you want to spend your life on. I mean, maybe it is for some people, and maybe it isn't for some others. So yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, you know, you want to change the world and all that, and you want to like make the world a better place and all that. And but another thing what Alan Watts was saying is like, you don't really know how to improve. You don't even know what improvement is, to like think that your conscious, I don't know, your conscious process, what you think you are, your conscious attention knows what improvement is kind of prideful in a way. To think you know better than life itself is just interesting, because life itself is, I mean, all of the things that happen are allowed in a way because they happen. So it's, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying like everything is deterministic either. Like, I don't know, maybe there is some choice to this thing. But then who would be making the choice, right? I guess comes back to we're like waves in the ocean. We're something the ocean is doing. So then there's no real self. It's all, we're something the universe is doing. We're all something unique that the universe is doing. And yeah, it comes back to that, and it's, we all have we're all expressing the universe in different ways. I guess there are no answers that I have. More just wanted to like share thoughts that I've been having, and yeah, maybe that helps you to, maybe you can relate to that, or maybe even think about similar things. So yeah, just wanted to try to make another video, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye.